HR Famous is brought to you by HRU Tech, a contingent staffing firm specializing in engineering, IT, and technically related placements across multiple industries. If you're looking for technical talent or searching for a career, look no further than HRU Tech. Find them online at hrutech.com and call them today. HR Famous is also brought to you by Kinetics, the leading RPO recruiting firm for growth companies, named by HRO Today as the top midsize RPO provider. Kinetics uses its unique skill-based recruiter model to deliver on RPO engagements, allowing them to customize scope to meet your unique hiring needs. If you have recruiting challenges and want to consider RPO as a solution, give Kinetics a call. Find them online at kineticshr.com. HR Famous Podcast. We're back. It's COVID-19 time. And with me, I've got some folks who are sequestered at home, as we all are, or as most of us are. Happy to be joined today by Tim Sackett, the one and only, coming out of Detroit. He's somewhere in the outskirts of Detroit.
Somewhere in the outskirts. Like I could be in Toronto and you would say it was the outskirts of Detroit. But I'm actually in my office because I own the building, so I just told everybody to leave so I could actually I don't have to work at home. I can just come to my office.
I love the fact that you just broke it in. Yeah, I own the building, so I can tell everybody to go home.
Yeah,
so
it could be a shack in the outskirts of Detroit. No one knows. They don't know.
Which is really another version of working from home, is owning the building and tell everyone else to go home. That's Tim Sackett. That's really all you need to know. I'm Kris Dunn, CHRO at Kinetics. And Tim, we're happy to be joined today. Jessica Lee's on break. We're happy to be joined today by a very special guest. I'm going to call her, if you will, Dawn Burke, I'm going to call her a senior writer at Fistful of Talent, as well as a senior consultant for Recruiting Toolbox. But since the HR Famous podcast is really a production of Fistful of Talent, it only makes sense that we would bring in a very special guest in Dawn Burke to talk about this phenomenon of working from home during this COVID-19 crisis. Dawn, tell the people a little bit about yourself. Don't get into the working from home yet. Tell us about you, what you do, how much you love being a senior writer at Fistful of Talent. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, well, hey, everybody, I'm Dawn Burke, and it's so great to see you guys again, or hear you guys again. So 20 years of HR. I got a divorce from corporate, and for the last 3 years, I've been working from home, senior consultant for Recruiting Toolbox. We are not a recruiting firm. We train recruiters and hiring managers how to recruit better. Of course, I have my own shingle up, Dawn Burke HR, where I help with some strategic HR consulting, engagement, culture, that sort of stuff. And then again, I do crazy stuff like this. FOT has changed my life. The royalty checks have allowed for me to do so much. And I appreciate that my pay gets doubled year after year after year. So thank you.
It's changed so many people's lives, really. Hey, by the way, we have to do a quick shout out for Jay Lee because you said she was on break. We actually officially, from an HR perspective, furloughed her, Katie. And so she's on reduced hours and can't make this pod. So
yes, shout out to Jay Lee. She'll be back soon, tearing stuff up as she always does. All right, let's get into this a little bit. So our topic today is working from home. So Dawn Burke, senior writer at Fistful of Talent. I love saying that.
You can do better than that.
That's actually pretty good.
I sound like I'm on CNN or like New York Times or something, right?
Senior correspondent. What's my beat?
Senior writer is something that takes a while to get to, Dawn. So for the uninitiated, go out to fistfuloftalent.com. Just a couple days ago, I think it was Thursday, we're taping this. You probably get this on a Monday or a Tuesday. We're taping it the previous week. Obviously, we're all hunkered down on this COVID-19 thing. And Dawn did a post at Fistful of Talent. I loved it. I have questions, Dawn. The post is titled, for those of you that want to go out and see it, "Working from Home Can Be Awful!" unless you do these things. So Dawn, emoji. I've got a bunch of questions.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of nits to pick about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But before we do that, like she's got a list of like 10 or 11 things that's advice working from home. We're all going to talk about our experiences working from home in the next 20, 25 minutes. But Dawn, kind of set us up for how you got into this article. And then we're going to go through some of your recommendations for the people that are working from home too. And obviously you're giving people advice on how to work from home and not make it a complete freaking train wreck.
Correct. So I was fortunate, and I think like you too, in my corporate life, a majority of my work life, I did have a lot of freedom. So I worked a majority of the time from a corporate office, which I enjoyed, but did have the opportunity to go to the coffee shop, the Barnes and Noble, work from home, or, whatever I needed to do to get the job done. So when I made the transition away from corporate and then was working full time from home, I thought it was just going to be a piece of cake. And in a lot of ways, in that first month, pure joy. You're like, oh, I'm going to put this picture up on the wall. I got my Small Axe Change the World poster, and I got my Beatles stuff back here, and then I got my my cool shit, and I got this desk that's just like, oh, it's so sweet. Went to Haverty's, and now I'm like, oh, I got a home office. It's this shit.
You went to Haverty's? That's awesome.
Well, okay. Well, guess what? That would be Bo. I'm fine with Target. Like I have a Target chair with a Haverty's desk. So we'll slow that roll. But it's like, yeah, we're going to do it. And actually it was good and it was pretty productive, but I realized my productivity was more in making my office cool.
That's right. So I want to jump in, Dawn.
Yeah.
Dawn, I want to jump in and say that first month where you were working from home. So a lot of the people that are home for the COVID, as I like to call it, the COVID. A lot of the people that are home for the COVID are trying to set their stuff up. You were actually not necessarily working at that time. You were planning to work, right?
Well, that's sort of. I did have stuff I was working on, but it's a different situation. It's definitely a different situation than all of a sudden I went from one day at the office and the next day, because of a pandemic, I'm home and I'm doing the same amount of work, but don't have the time to get things set up. So that was the spirit of some of this post, was to how do you get set up right away?
That's right. Because the people, like when you went home, when you started work from home in a very natural way, you had some time to think about it. You're probably in some form of transition, setting up your own consulting business, et cetera, like all the folks that have come home in the last week for the COVID. Don't have that luxury, right? So that's why you did the post, because most of us are home more than we've ever been, and we might be reeling a little bit, correct?
Absolutely. And I think it's really important that you do, make that disclaimer. My situation was very different than what we're talking about today, what the situation here is. But I definitely think all the things that I went through, whether it took me a month or 2 months or a year to get through them, you guys will have, or in the modern environment, you're going to have a week, a week. So hopefully some of these things.
Maybe a day.
Well, a day, but the reality is people think they'll have a day, but the reality is if they're not going to be fully productive this week. Just give yourself that knowledge. There's no way you're going to be fully productive this week going from, hey, I was at work, to, some people had 24-hour notice. You are now going to be at home. Do you have a computer? Do you have a way to actually, record things? Do you know how to use Zoom? Also, I didn't have kids that were stuck in the house with me all day, which is a whole nother thing that people are going to have to figure out. I talked with my sister yesterday, and God love her, she was almost in tears, and it was day one for her. No, seriously, she called me with a glass of wine going, I almost started crying.
Now,
so anyway.
Was she 100% like in the office, or like 80% in the office? Was that her job? What type of transition did she make, Dawn?
100% in the office to 100% at home. And 100% the kids are now at home as well. So that's much more jarring than what I dealt with.
Let's set it up for the listeners as we go through your list. So I am probably a little more than half work from home. So I split my time between Atlanta and Birmingham. Office is in Atlanta. I'm on the road a good bit, but I'm probably at least half the time working from home. Tim Sackett, come on in here.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're a very small percentage work from home. In fact, we're talking about working from home when everybody's that can be is home for COVID, and you're in the office. So like how much do you work from home?
Theoretically, we could call it my home office. It's just a different building.
Yeah.
No, I actually had 3 years though at Applebee's that I did work completely from home. And I will tell you, I was not comfortable working from home for a year. It took me a year to get comfortable. I always felt like I wasn't doing enough, or somehow I was, oh my God, I went to the bathroom and stopped at the fridge. And I felt like I was cheating the company. Like, because it felt like I was just at home. Or I rotated the laundry from like the washing machine to the dryer. I'm like, oh my God, I'm cheating the company. You know,
you're
so
cheating.
Weird.
Yes.
I was cheating.
Yes, cheating.
So.
All right.
Which
So
on
that's your, yeah, go ahead.
On that topic, I do talk about exactly what you just said in my post. So after you, Christopher.
Well, let's get into a quick reset. Talking to the one, the only, Dawn Burke, senior writer at Fistful of Talent and senior consultant at Recruiting Toolbox. Did a great post on FOT about working from home. Let's get into your list, Dawn, because there was some interesting stuff in here. I'm gonna set it like the first thing, and you talked about your sister a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you gave her this advice. I want to talk about your first bullet point specifically because it's the thing that jumped out at me. So I gotta like go after you a little bit on this one. So your first piece of advice is to keep your work rituals, make Mr. Coffee your new magic mic. Now, a lot of people are going to think I'm going after the magic mic, or I'm going to make a magic mic XL joke, whatever, right?
Oh, you're not?
I'm not, because actually what I want to talk about, this is what Dawn writes in the article, and I love this. So for example, this is about work rituals. At my corporate job, for my sanity, I had to get out of the office for lunch. Many days, and we're doing this via video too, and Dawn's like trying not to like snort on this thing. Many days, Dawn Burke, senior writer at Fistful of Talent, writes, I ate lunch while I watched Netflix in my car. She goes on to say, you better believe I still watched Netflix from my car for the first few weeks I was working from home. I was a weirdo. Yes, I'm a weirdo, she writes, but it worked. Dawn Burke,
you went out in the garage. You went in the garage with your phone and you like ate lunch and watched Netflix in your garage in your car.
I actually
drove like a serial killer.
Oh my God. I actually sometimes I didn't do it in my garage. That's too close to home. I had to get out. The closest I did was just back out. I can't believe I'm admitting this. Back out into the driveway. Other times I just drove like outside into the neighborhood, like in where there's a parking spot, like by a park.
Down by the elementary school.
Yeah, nice. Down by the river. By the river.
Tim, hold on. It's interesting that Tim says that because Dawn Burke can get away with this. Okay,
yeah,
Dawn Burke. Couldn't. So where Dawn Burke lives. So I live in the same city as Dawn Burke, senior writer at Fistful of Talent. I live in the same city, and right across from her development, the neighborhood she lives in, Tim, is actually a baseball park. For kids, right?
I didn't do that.
What happens though, you could, Dawn, like you could take
I could have gotten away with that.
And nobody thinks twice about that. If Tim Sackett takes his car, and Tim, I'll throw it to you. If Tim Sackett takes his car over to, I think it's called Alcere Park, because it's on Alcere Road in Birmingham.
Oh my God, how
if Tim goes over there, like he's in cuffs.
Oh, there's a cop pulling up. There's a cop pulling up within probably 15 minutes.
Maybe
because there's
sooner.
14 moms looking out their window, basically going, "There's a strange guy at the park."
Yes. Well, here, let me give you some context here, my friends. Let me give you some context.
Is valuable.
Obviously, I'm a weirdo. That's just how it is. But you have to remember, again, my ritual for many years in corporate was I'm an extrovert. I loved the energy in my office. I loved my team. I love talking with people. But lunch was I got to get the hell out of here because I need a break. And I love Netflix. I'd find my show and I would just go outside into my car because, I wanted to. get
Dawn,
away.
I think it's common. Like I have like a parking lot in front of my building that I'm at and that I own. And my employees will actually, like every time I come back from working out at lunch, there'll be 2 or 3 of them in their cars, like having phone calls or doing whatever, taking a nap,
But the context here, as far as the transition, was rest assured at first I tried to do it in my house. I'm just going to go from upstairs, downstairs, watch Netflix and eat lunch. Guess what percentage of the time I went back upstairs and worked? Zero. I ended up the rest of the day on the couch watching Netflix and made
Judges,
Judge Judy or whatever. It's like all of a sudden I felt like the couch was sucking me in. I started getting sleepy at 12:30. I mean, it just happened, and that's where I went, oh no, this won't do. Let's just do with what you used to do, and it set up a new routine. And yeah, I'm the type of person that just is like, they already think I'm the crazy cat lady in my neighborhood. They already hear me go out and go, meow, 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 and think I'm just insane. So why not sit in the driveway and watch Netflix? It makes me enduring. And again, same thing with the coffee thing, just, you got to keep those rituals for a while. We're talking about during the transition.
So I've got a quick story to tell. Before I do that, tell us about the coffee thing. You say, make Mr. Coffee your new magic mic. So what's the ritual like when you go work from home? So you used to go to the break room.
Yeah.
I've seen your place of work before you, after 7 years, did
that was your place of work as well.
It was. And it's an amazing break room. So what did you do at home? Like, what was the coffee break?
It wasn't that exciting or sexy. It basically was, I go downstairs, my Keurig coffee pot, I'd clean up and make it all shiny. And then I would, get because I'm like a little hippie, I get my pod, but I got the refillable pod. None of that like easy stuff. So you get the ritual, you got to pick out which coffee it is.
Okay.
Is it going to be half cap? Is it going to be the flavored? Is it going to be the dark roast? And then I would go and I'd have my different creamers. I mean, I did it up. And so then I would go through the stuff and make it delicious. And then a lot of times I'd then take the coffee and just like those the Folgers commercials, I'd sit on the porch with my cup of coffee and...
Hi, I'm Stephen Rothberg.
And I'm Jeanette Leeds.
And together, we're the co-hosts of the High Volume Hiring Podcast.
Are you involved in hiring dozens or even hundreds of employees a year? If so, you know that the typical sourcing tools, tactics, and strategies, they just don't scale.
Yeah. Our bi-weekly podcast features news, tips, case studies, and interviews with the world's leading experts about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to high volume hiring.
Make sure to subscribe today.
I did not even know. Tim, did you know that there are refillable Keurigs? That blows me away.
I'm not even a coffee drinker. I knew that, but
yeah,
and I am a coffee drinker.
All the plastic.
Got it. Hey, quick story, and then we'll move on to the rest of your list, Dawn. So
Okay.
I used to work for a C-level, kind of at a 500 person company, and his ritual was to get out of the office every day and to go grab something from fast food, like through the drive-through, and then he would pull over and eat a sandwich and listen to ESPN radio. Obviously, this is before podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. Tim's kind of like shrugging his shoulders, like he gets it, right, Tim? You get it?
Yeah. Let's catch up on the sports radio. I understand that.
So he was at a, it's on 280 in Birmingham. He was in an Arby's one day.
Yeah.
He's in an Arby's and he gets like his, I don't know, I'm going to say medium roast beef, and he pulls over. He's listening to Dan Patrick during the ESPN days, and he's facing something in Birmingham called the Pink Package Store. So it's a liquor store. And he's there and he's just eating a sandwich, doing his ritual, kind of like Don on his dead. And out comes like another executive in the middle of the day with a bottle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That
Hey,
was
by the
his
way,
ritual. Was that his
I have a-
ritual and or her ritual?
I have a great alcohol story, employee story for that. So I had to go and actually do some discipline with an engineer that we had, and basically showing up, and the boss is kind of like, look, he's coming in drunk, or he's drinking on the job. We don't know. He reeks of alcohol during the day.
Yeah.
He reeks of it.
So again, being the HR guy, I got to go talk to him, right? So I go pull him in. We're going to give him a written warning. And he's like, oh, you know what? Younger guy. I play softball at night. We go out, late, Tim. I don't get home until 2 a.m. on those nights. And I know when I come in, that's what it is. I totally get it. I'll make sure I stop, blah, blah, blah. So then I go over to, his boss, say, look, I just did the deal. We got the sign, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, and I, being the HR business partner, I'm like, hey, you want to go to lunch? Let's go grab a bite, And so he's like, yeah, sure, let's go. So we run over to Chili's. We walk into Chili's to get seated by the host. That motherfucker's sitting at the bar having a Budweiser.
Oh, wow.
I just written up. And he just looks at me. I walk over and he goes, I'm fired, right? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's a list of resources. Good luck. Yeah, that's hardcore. That's hard.
Hey,
hard stuff, man.
So rituals are important. Dawn, take us through, you've got 9 or 10 other things in this Fistful of Talent article called "Working from Home Can Be Awful Unless You Do These Things." What are your top 2 or 3 out of the rest of this? You got a bunch of great stuff. We're going to do a separate pod on video conferencing, especially with this phenomenon of Zoom. But what else is important to you? What advice would you give the folks who have landed from home and, like your sister, are really feeling unsettled?
Yeah, well, I think let's just start with some basics here. The things that I didn't realize, and these seem really minor, but they were big for me. First of all, if you got to print at home, go get you a lot of printer cartridges. A lot of us don't do that because they're expensive. There's no doubt. And right now in a recession, you're like, do I have to get all these printer cartridges? Well, yes. There are discount printer cartridges that you can get on Amazon or in stores, and hopefully your company is reimbursing you for these types of things as well. Right. I haven't even gotten in to get a printer. But what I would say is I had a couple of times where I really needed something that I needed to print out to then sign and fax scan, and I couldn't get something in on time because I didn't have black ink or red ink or cyan. Tim.
By the way, Dawn, the new, just like your coffee cartridges or coffee pods.
Yeah.
Now there's a printer now that you just take the ink bottle and then just stick it in the thing and fill it up, so you don't even have to have cartridges anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Pro tip.
No, I just saw it on TV there.
Amazing.
No, that is good. So that was one that I didn't think,
oceans.
So your printer cartridges are your new alpha and omega. I don't have children. I have a cat that I have spoiled, and she's my Wilson. She's my assistant. That being said, she distracted me immensely when I was trying to work. She's the type where I cannot close the door because she sits outside and scratches under the door. The carpet gets all jacked up. She goes, meow, meow, meow. And it's pretty, she's high maintenance. Shocking, I know. So
you caged her up. Right?
No. I know that's your cat, Dorito. Poor Doritos. # save Dorito. But finally, I had to experiment with what's going to get her off of my screen, because she would make love to the screen. I mean, come on. If you have a cat, they love a computer screen. You're almost like, do I need to leave you alone for a little while? So finally, I figured out what worked. We have a leather ottoman, and I would bring it in. And she would sit I'd put it right next to me, and she'd sit on it, so she wasn't on the screen. And then I would hear, and I'm like, what is that noise? My freaky deaky cat likes to lick the leather. And you know what I said? You go to town, sister, as long as you are not on my computer screen. But all joking aside, that was my experience. The reality is you're going to have these distractions. Kids, I can't get, that's above my pay grade. That's a whole nother podcast. But just know those are the things I didn't think would that's where I started having to go to the coffee shop, because she was such a distraction. So that's another one. The other one that I would say, when I read, right now we know there's a lot of information out there about how to work from home. a lot of them are going to say, whatever you make your office space is only where you do work, and where everything else is, you do not do work from there. I call BS on that. I think it's a great thought in theory. In reality, you're going to do some laundry. It's okay. It's all right. That there are going to be some things that are going to distract you. You know what? The rules have changed. And if you now are going to work at home, home was always my sacred space to disconnect from work. Well, now that's not the case. So you know what? I used to feel, Tim, you were talking about it earlier. I'd feel guilty about doing laundry. And you know what? Not anymore. That said, you better pull your head out of your booty if all of a sudden it's 5 loads of laundry while you're, watching TV or if it becomes a distraction, then don't do your laundry.
I will say, Dawn, the one thing I noticed too, though, working from home is that I think if you try to work the same 40 hours at home as you were in the office, you'll get burned out so quick because you're so much more productive at home for most of us. If we don't have the kid thing right now, right? If you have kids at home, it's different. But I'm like, for the vast majority of us that can kind of separate that, and we have something like we have some kind of system taking care of those distractions, you will be so much more productive. And so that if you try to do 40 hours of that at home or 50 hours of that or whatever you were doing in the office, you will burn yourself out like so much faster. And it took me a long time to realize that. And it also took me, I think what you were saying is the advantage of working from home is that I could work from home when it worked for me. It didn't have to be like, oh, that's the office. I'm never going to go in there after 5 o'clock. Yeah. Well, no, I am, because I was actually mowing the lawn at 3 and at 9 o'clock, I'm going to return email. Like that's the advantage of working from home, is that you have that ability.
Tim Sackett loves to mow the yard, by the way.
Am I right? Tim? But yeah, I love it.
Push why?
Because it's not complex, right? You can look at it after it's done and say, I got that
completed. Done. It looks great.
As opposed
to
that.
I did that. It's not a nebulous.
As opposed to the drunk engineer. Like the drunk engineer is harder to rectify. The grass never talks back. Hey, real quick reset. Dawn Burke, senior writer at Fistful of Talent, senior consultant at Recruiting Toolbox. So we're talking about working from home. Dawn, there's a couple here that I wanted to bring up specifically that I was really interested in. One piece of advice you gave folks is to talk, don't text other humans. So talk to us a little bit about that one.
What I would say is, I think all of us know biologically human beings really are hardwired to connect with other people. We want connection, whether you're an introvert, whether you're an extrovert. There might be different levels of connection that you want if you're an introvert versus extrovert, but you have to connect. Now, let me tell you this. I text a lot during the day to connect with people. So I don't want to say you can't text. Absolutely, you can do that. That is a form of connection that is better than isolating at home. That said, I do believe wholeheartedly at some point you got to pick up the phone, set up a video call, and actually see faces. You need to have that, human interaction. That really is, what's the word I'm looking for, Tim? What's the word I'm looking for? That's again just
interactive.
Interactive. Yeah, there we go. That's more than just let me know an LMK or emoji. So I definitely, what I had to do, because again, I was somebody that really did enjoy hanging out with my team and talking, and we go to lunch and stuff. Once a week I had a lunch with somebody. Regularly I did schedule times to have Zoom calls, especially with like a lot of the people that we would see at conferences and whatnot, where I couldn't just grab some coffee with. And now you can't even grab coffee with the people. So, and we're going to talk about Zoom and whatnot. So I would then say, try to hook up some video conferencing, or hey, if you both have an Apple phone, FaceTime, whatever it is, just to see some faces. That was really helpful to me, and I know it's helpful to others.
Hey, I'll get us out of here on this. So Tim, thinking about like all the advice Dawn's given us, when you think about some of the folks that you have that aren't in the office today as we tape this, because you are, and it's your office, you send everybody home, you're there. It's like work from home for you. Like, what's your biggest piece of advice? And Dawn, you can think about like your biggest takeaway, maybe that we haven't talked about to this point. You think about your sister going home and saying, OMG, this is insane. Tim, any like big piece of advice, work from home as we
Yeah,
kind of enter
it's
into
all,
the next few weeks?
it's all communication based, and it's the lost in translation. So I agree with Dawn. Like the texting, the emails, and all that stuff is great, but you have to get on the phone, you have to get on video and see people face to face and talk through some stuff. And I can't tell you how many times I already do that with them, because like you, Katie, I'm on the road a lot, and I'll be texting somebody and someone texts back, and I know there's already a little bit of lapse of like what I'm trying to say, what they're,
Yeah.
and so I immediately just like boom, and I will, get on a FaceTime or and usually I try to do it face to face, because I think it's so much better than even a voice call. And I think as we work from home, you have to get very comfortable. And I know so many of us will go, oh my God, like I don't look good, and like I don't want video, like I wasn't ready for this. Like even Dawn said when we first got on, she's like, I wasn't ready for video today, and we're like, well, people aren't going to see it on video. You look good though. Yeah.
But the lighting, Kris,
you
right
say
away
that you
was
weren't
like,
ready,
yeah,
but
right.
we know you were.
Well, I put makeup on. I mean, come on. That's a big
I actually think the lighting is like very much on point, Dawn. I like the soft lighting you have, and again, we'll talk about Zoom on another like podcast. Like my big hack, and then Dawn, I'll bring it to you to kind of like wrap us up. My big hack is, if you believe what Tim Sackett said, that you're going to be like, once you get your system set up according to the advice Dawn's giving us, and you're going to become much more efficient, you're going to get a lot done. My big hack is like at least once a day. And this is like embedded in what Dawn said. I think once a day, figure out a way to kind of reconnect with somebody that you haven't connected with for a while. It's a great opportunity, using tools like Zoom, FaceTime, whatever, even a phone call, like voice to voice, that you haven't had a chance to connect with somebody who's important in your life. That could be personal. That could very much be professional. Sometimes it's both, but like connecting with that person, setting up a half-hour block and just calling, like, no like agenda, just saying, hey, I had a little bit of time. I know we're working from home. I wanted to connect, see what was up.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't get anything done from a work perspective, I think it's really, really healthy for you from a personal, like mental health perspective, to say that person has been important in my life. And again, it could be personal, it could be professional. A lot of times it's both. And being able to connect with that person, to use some of this time, I think, and Dawn, one of the things we didn't talk about is like exercise, and you may want to take us there, but I think that's as valuable during this work from home time, connecting with somebody that you haven't had a chance to, kind of like feeling that emotional connection again, and just feeling the good vibes is probably as important mentally as exercise is, but certainly it's no replacement, Dawn, for exercise, right?
Oh yeah. If you know me, you know that I do enjoy exercising, but it's certainly, I wouldn't call myself an athlete at all, but I will tell you that it was critical to my mental health as well as my physical health to exercise. And here, guess what? You can get really sweaty at home and nobody cares. You don't have to cram it all into that hour at the Y during lunch and then take a shower and come back, which I found exercising during the corporate workday was stressful because you had to do all this stuff real quick and then come back.
Right.
I do need to give a shout out to a tool that I recommend highly during this time. There is a company with a exercise wellness platform that right now a lot of companies are adding to their benefits wellness programs, and there's a lot of virtual programs where people can do workouts at home or in the office, yada, yada, yada. Well, right now this company is called Groker, Grokker. And right now they are offering this for companies and individuals for free for around the next 2 months. Typically, it's about $15 a month. I ordered that right away to check it out, and so far it's been excellent. And we're talking 10 minutes a couple times a day. So anyway, not only does that good for your physical health, but it really helps the endorphins and mental health. I will say one other thing. You have to realize my experience in going through this was not during a pandemic. So what I've gone through a lot. I've done a lot of networking virtually over the last several days, and right now people are afraid. They're afraid, and they're seeing their stocks go down. They're seeing California just closed. I don't think people are in super panic, but each day it's getting a little worse. It is even more important than connect with people and laugh. And you might even think about getting something like a Headspace or one of those counseling
mindfulness,
virtual counseling things. Yes. So, I could go on and on, but I definitely think these are things that will, and right now, you hear this list and you probably feel a little more overwhelmed by this stuff. So just do one of these things for now. Just start somewhere.
Hey, if you're a listener, which if you've listened this far, you most certainly are. If you're a listener to the HR Famous podcast, you can do any of this advice that Tim and Dawn are giving you when it comes specifically to tools to help you get motivated, both mentally and physically. You could also do what I do, which is just connect with Tim Sackett and FaceTime him and let him yell at you like I do.
Oh yeah.
It's been incredible for me. He's a little bit of a sergeant, like he's a little bit like he's hard on me.
It's old school Gary V, right?
That's right. It's Gary V from 2011.
Wow.
It's
not
the Gary
currently,
V that we know and love. The hard
You mean
one. Work harder.
not Gary B, not Gary Busey?
Yeah, could be a little Gary Busey.
Could be
too.
Gary B. Yeah. All right. So that's it. HR Famous podcast. Dawn Burke, senior writer, Fistful of Talent, senior consultant at Recruiting Toolbox. Love the advice. And I guess I would close this out, Dawn, with the following. It's okay. By the way, this is actually pretty good advice for all the people that are there, especially if you have kids, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you also have a spouse at home. Like actually like driving off in your car for a half hour and like doing Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever, while you eat something.
And even now you can go to the elementary school because there's no kids there.
Oh, shit.
Tim Sackett advice. That's actually the piece that Dawn gave us about like doing something in your car. Like as weird as it sounds, that may be the money takeaway in the COVID environment if you have like childcare and another spouse at home. All right, that's it for us. The HR Famous podcast. She is Dawn Burke. He's Tim Sackett. I'm Kris Dunn. Stay healthy. Stay connected, and until next time, we are out.